Hey y'all, today I'm going to be giving you an overview on for loops. So I will be going over what for loops are, some use cases for them, how to use them, and then at the very end some optimization tips just to make things run ever so slightly faster. So to understand for loops, you're going to most likely need a basic understanding of tables in Lua. I will leave an introductory page for tables in the description, but I might make a full-on overview in the future. But basically, for loops are, to put it simply, a way to go through a table and to get each key and value of that table. Now, a key can be a number in the case of an array, something like this, right? You have list of fruits, apple, banana, and mango. Now, the key for banana would be 2 because it's the second value in the array. For apple, it would be 1, and for mango, it would be 3 because mango is the third value in the array. A key can also be a string in the case of a dictionary, like so. So we have the fruit ratings, right? These are my opinions. I won't be changing them, and I don't need your comments on them because these are objectively correct. Now, apple is rated as a 6 out of 10. Banana is a 3, mango is a 10. Right? That's just how things are. In the case of this one, the key would be the name of the fruit, like apple, and the value would be 6. So for loops, as you know, the name suggests, loop through each individual table entry and return the key and the value in that order. Some common use cases for loops are to loop through players and do something to each one, to go through each child of a folder, or to just loop through a normal table. And finally, here's the basic structure on how to use a for loop. The basic way that for loops are structured is as follows. For key, comma, value, in pairs, parentheses, table, close parentheses, do, and then when you press enter, it's going to finish that function for you and just give you that little end down there to say, hey, the function's over. Basically, what this is saying is that for each entry in your table, you're going to want to return the key and the value of that entry. So this function writes 2 different local variables, key and value, which are right here. You can change these if you want. A lot of people do I, comma, v for integer and value, but that's a little bit more advanced. So for now, we'll just have them as key, comma, value. Just remember that if you rename these, they're still only going to be accessible inside of the loop. Like let's say you wanted to print the key. You could say print key, and that would print whatever the key is that is currently looping through. Now, if you try to do that outside of the function, print key, it won't work. You can see it gives you a little blue underline. It might be red for you, but it's going to say unknown global key because the variable is only accessible inside of the function. So I'm going to do a little example for you. We're going to go through the fruit ratings table, and then we're going to print out the fruit and what I rate it out of 10. So it's going to be for key, comma, value, in pairs, fruit underscore ratings, because that's our table up here. You can see we defined fruit ratings up here with my objectively correct fruit rating. And then you're going to say do, and then press enter, and it's going to complete your function with the little end down here. This is going to run 3 different times because you can see there are 3 different entries in my table. What we want to do for each key in this table, we want to print I rate and then type a space and then a dot dot. This is going to concatenate it, which is a big word, but it just basically means it's combining 2 strings together. Key, which is going to be the fruit, like apple, banana, or mango, and then dot dot to concatenate again. Make some more parentheses. A, concatenate again, value. And value is going to be the fruit rating right here on a scale of 1 to 10. So it's going to print I rate, let's say apple, a 6. And it's going to do this 3 times, once again, because there are 3 values in this table. Now, if you don't have your output window open, go to View, and then Output right here. So when you run this, you can see it says I rate apple a 6, I rate mango a 10, I rate banana a 3. Now what happened here is it looped through each value in the table. It said, hey, apples, I rate them a 6, mangoes are a 10, and bananas are a 3. Now we're going to write something a little bit more useful. In my workspace, I've made a bunch of parts. These are all in a folder called parts underscore folder. They're all listed here. But what I want to do is I want to move them up. I want to move all of them up 1 stud per second. Now to move all of these parts up 1 stud per second, we're going to be using a for loop. We want to move all of these parts up 1 stud per second. So we're going to do this in a normal loop, not a for loop, but just a normal while true do loop. This is going to run every single frame, which is too much. So we want it to wait a second each time it loops. Now we want to do a for loop. So for key, comma, value, in pairs, game.workspace, because that's where our parts folder is stored, .parts folder, get children. Now this is going to get every single child of the parts folder and then make it into a table like what we have up here. Because the for loop needs to work with a table. It can't just work with a single folder. So this is going to get every single child of the parts folder and then put it in a table. And then do, and then press enter. It's going to finish up your function. And then in this case, the value is going to be the individual part that needs to be moved up one stud. So we're going to say value.position, because this is the individual part, equals value.position plus vector3.new 0, 1, 0. So this code is going to loop every second. It's going to go through every single child of this parts folder, and it's going to set the position to one stud higher than it was before. Now, as you can see, every second, the parts are moving up one stud. It goes through all of them, and they all go at about the same time. So our code has worked successfully. Now, that concludes the tutorial on for loops, but there are a few things that you could do to optimize this code to make it run slightly faster, and things that are just good habits for the future. So for this while true do loop, you can see it says task wait 1 here. You can replace true with task.wait 1. Now this is just going to be saying, hey, while it waits a second, do this, which doesn't really make sense, but it works, and it's cleaner code than before. Now this is a pretty big one. There is a different type of for loop. Instead of for pairs, it's for I pairs. Now this just means integer pair, which it's a big word, basically just means number. Now that basically means it doesn't care about the key value here, which is better for performance. So you can just say for underscore value in I pairs, game.workspace.parts folder, get children, yada, yada, yada. And that will be slightly faster than just using a pairs loop. Now, if you have something like a dictionary like this, where the key, which is Apple in this case, is also important, and you're going to use the key, that you don't want to use I pairs. You're going to want to use a normal pairs loop for that, because the pairs loop considers the key as well as the value. Now, if you're just getting the children of a folder, like we did over here in the parts folder, you can use an I pairs loop to increase efficiency. And right over here where we added the value's position to itself, you can just replace that with plus equal, because that's just going to say, hey, add one stud to the position. And easy as that. You can do the same thing with subtraction, I think multiplication, and then division as well, just to make things a little bit easier. Also for game.workspace, you can just say lowercase w workspace, and then it just saves you 5 characters of typing. I don't know. It works the same exact way. And that's going to conclude my tutorial on for loops. If you want to subscribe and like, that'd be appreciated, but it's obviously not required. And yeah, just have a good one. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I will try my best to help you out. But yeah, have a good one, and see ya.